Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Japan, the Fuji X-E4. I would totally be the hype man for this camera. Here it is, the Fuji X-E4. It's the fourth camera in their X-E lineup, and there are a lot of things to love about this camera. A few things I don't love, but a lot of things I do love. Right off the top, you pull this thing out of the box, wow. You know, when it comes to cameras, I really think it matters how a camera feels, right? Like, it's gotta feel good in your hands. I've reviewed other cameras that felt kind of plasticky and kind of cheap. The weight of this is just enough, right? So this is kind of this minimalist camera. You can interchange the lenses, which is a real boost for your video quality and your photo quality and that kind of thing, instead of having something that zooms in and out, right, with a button. But it's still small enough. Like, look, this is my phone. Obviously thicker, but this is my phone and this is the camera. It fits in like a crossbody bag. Heck, it can fit in the pocket of this jacket. It's got a magnesium body, which is really nice. It feels like it's durable. It's not weatherproof, so don't get too crazy with this thing. Other than the feel of this thing, let's look at the design on the outside. You've got kind of this digital and analog. Love that sound, so satisfying, right? I also love this, listen. There's also a touch screen on the back, of course, which also flips up and down, which is nice for getting like low shots, high shots, and selfie shots. And then on the front, here's a little jog wheel, really conveniently located. You can dial in your shutter speed even more than you have up here. I really like that. Also, the flat design is really nice. Oh, this is really cool. I hadn't really considered this before, but you see how the eye hole is on the edge? That's really nice for being able to pick out subjects like this instead of totally blocking your view and just looking through a central kind of rangefind here and go right on the side. And that's also great because a lot of times I'm going like this, I'm taking photos like this, I'm taking photos like this. If I'm in the way here, it's just annoying. Also, you get smudges on the glass and you get dirty. So right on the edge there is great. It's an electronic viewfinder, very clear quality, big fan of that too. It's got the motion sensor, light sensor here, so that if you're looking at the screen, let's flip this guy on the back, and then you move your face up here, it knows to automatically transfer the screen up here. I gotta think you can turn that off. I haven't really looked into it, but I can on other cameras, so I'm just gonna assume you can here. Which might be nice because a couple times when I'm reaching up here for this button, oh, it goes off and I can't see what the display is. So that's one of those just kind of like, you gotta customize, you gotta make it your own. All right, so I love the style on the outside, I love the design, I love the eye hole on the corner, the kind of analog and digital mesh with this design. But let's talk about the guts, right? This camera has the exact same 26.1 megapixel ASPC sensor and processor from the very fancy Fuji X series. Now, the software on this is amazing. The autofocus is really fast. I've got kids, which makes it a great opportunity to test how fast an autofocus can go. Can you keep up with a 1-year-old? Well, you did a pretty good job. There are times that it's focusing on the background, it misses it, but the tracking on this, when you put the tracking mode on, is really impressive how quickly it focuses as my son is coming to the camera and coming out. There is a burst mode. There's a couple different burst modes on here. There's all kinds of great software that you've come to know and love and expect, frankly, from digital cameras that are current. Let's get into a little bit about how to use this thing from a menu perspective and from some of the buttons. A couple great quick modes here. You go right to your menu. You can change all the stuff you're looking for right through there. I really like how you can go into Drive, go from still image right into movie recording. They've done a good job of making that an option. Obviously the settings here make it kind of dark, but you can switch that. You got all your information at the top here. The screen's very helpful. Up here, back up to your image, which is great. You got HDR as an option. These are your different high-speed bursts. Of course, these are your filters. You also have this quick button here, this K, which can lead you into all these different things that you're working with. You can change your normal. These are the way that you're shooting, right? Back to here. So there we go. All right, let's talk video on this camera. Now, I've had other Fujis. The more expensive ones do great with video. The less expensive ones don't do so great with video. This is awesome right in the middle. A couple reviewers pointed out this could be a great second camera, which is, you know, on set, you got your main camera here, but maybe you want a second angle. This could be great for that. It can shoot 1080 up to 240 frames per second. So if you want a little bit of slow-mo, but still full HD, that's great. You can also shoot 4K, which is actually downsampled from 6K, so you're getting a ton of information in there. At 30 frames, you can do 23:9:8, you can do 24. There's a lot of great film-focused camera settings in this. I really like the way it looks. I like the colors that are coming out of the camera. I will say I set the mode to automatically focus, like to track, right? So I shot some stuff. The problem is you can hear the little motors going. And how quickly it adjusts and when I go back. While it's trying to autofocus. So that's a problem. You could probably adjust that a little bit, but it would be great as a camera for B-roll, but you're hearing that in the camera, so you'd have to use a secondary audio like a lav like this, or I don't know, maybe a second boom, or I don't know exactly what you gotta do, but that was surprising how loud that was. Oh, also, no in-body stabilization. So that means you've got to buy a lens with stabilization, which of course means the lens has to be bigger than this little kind of like pancake lens here. I've got to hold it because of this lens at a pretty far arm's length. This is the F-log, so I really want to see kind of how well that does. So that's a problem too, unless you're just sitting it on a tripod, you're doing interviews, or you're getting B-roll where you're just making small movements like that. But when it comes to a vlogging camera, I feel like you gotta have something with some stability. I mean, you got GoPros that have in-body stabilization, so I don't know. Maybe that's because the less complicated it is, the less things moving in the camera, the smaller it can be. Either way, if video is your focus, you should know that when you're buying the X-E4. All right, so of course there are clearly a lot of things to love about this camera. Is there anything that I really didn't dig? Yes. Number one, maybe it's just because I'm a dad, maybe it's because I'm always thinking about what could go wrong, but having a screen on the back here with no cover, there's no way to flip it closed, right? It's like this is just always gonna be exposed, and I want this to be a camera that I can kind of put in my bag, take it with me on the airplane, take it with me in the car on road trips and that kind of thing. And I worry that the screen would crack. I don't know if there's some kind of like Gorilla Glass or something on here. Maybe you can even buy a screen protector. I don't know. But frankly, I was a little bit like, why is there, you want me to take this everywhere I want to go, and yet just one strong knock on this thing and you're kind of out of luck. Also, something that was really annoying to me, and I saw from other reviewers online who felt the same way, right out of the box, the touchscreen is set to take a picture when you touch the back. And I didn't realize at first that I could turn that off or adjust the setting, because look, it was a new camera. I just pulled it out of the box. I didn't know. And so when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, let me just focus here. And I was like, wait, what? And then when I would take my face up to look through the viewfinder, my nose was hitting the camera. So I have all these really blurry, unnecessary photos because it just kept taking, and then I would put the camera in my hand like this and it was going because the palm of my hand was hitting it, and I was like, stop. I'd turn the camera off and I was like, surely there's a problem with that. So that's just one of those software things right out of the box. That's how it is, but you can easily change that. All right, so there you go. I love this camera. I told you I'd be the hype man for this thing, for Pete's sakes. There's so many great things to love about it. I love all the film presets that come in. I just dial it down a little bit, and that's so nice because how many times are you taking a photo thinking, oh, I'll shoot it raw and then I'll edit it later, and it just sits because it's too much work between taking the photo, editing the photo, posting the photo. No, it's just not gonna happen. So I love that right out of the camera, it's got some cool edits involved. So that's been really handy. The touchscreen is very sensitive. The autofocus is very fast and very accurate. The film options, 23:9:8 recording is pretty great that they've built that in. I'm pretty much just gonna be shooting 1080. I don't need that 4K that's down res, but that's great because you've got it there if you need it. I like the size of it. I admittedly have big hands, so it fits in my hands better than maybe most people. That said, you can buy additional grips, like a thumb grip back here, which may be something I would add to it, just because, I mean, this thing is so straight. It's just a little block. It'd be easy to drop. And of course, with that screen, you don't want that thing to crack. All the buttons and dials are very intuitive. They've done a great job packaging a whole lot into something small. But ultimately, what do I love? I love the click, I love the look, and I love the portability of it. So with the kit lens, which is a 27mm 2.8, you adjust right here, your aperture right on the ring, which is kind of cool too, feels very old school, is running you a little over $1,000. So you got to figure out if that's worth it, either adding to your kit or if you know, some people ask me, hey, I just had a kid, what's the best camera that I can get? It's a pretty great camera, not cheap. So, you know, you got to kind of weigh your options there. But either way, I'm a big fan and I love what Fuji's up to. Thanks so much for checking out my channel and my review on the X-E4. I would love to know, A, has this been helpful for you? Or B, do you have this camera and you came here to look at other settings or whatever? Or C, do you have another camera that you like even more than this? Because that would help me. I'm always looking for great stuff. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're checking me out on Instagram, BHAZ. And yeah, have an awesome day. Back to coffee and cameras. Really not much better than that.